Good morning, everybody. Let's bring in some music. Hi, as you join, just start to share it up, share it up, share it up. Morning. Everybody all right? Morning, Opa. Morning, Pamela. And go and share it up for me. Hit the share button. Go and listen to some chronics and hit the share button. Morning. Jamaica, nice. How everybody doing this morning? Sorry for the late start. You gotta read between the lines. Morning, Kadeen. Morning, everybody. Remember, as you join, hit the share button. Share it up for me. All right, let's stop the music now. All right, everybody. Welcome to another Monday morning MEDZ. Monday morning. Start a little late today, but no watch nothing. Now, today is going to be a very interesting discussion. Let me just say hi, morning to all the IG Live people. And morning to Facebook Live. Morning, everybody. Morning, 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 morning. All right. So this morning, very interesting topic. We spoke about it part last week. We're going to talk about mental health with a specific focus on depression and suicide. We see the suicide rates in Jamaica now, right? Today, our guest will be Professor Frederick Hickling, who is Professor Emeritus at University Hospital of the West Indies. Now, Professor Hickling have a very long string of accolades behind him name, where we can't even get into. I'm reminding you again, if you are live, Facebook Live, share it up for me. Share up the video, share it everywhere. Oh my God. A loud car driving past my neighborhood. Anyway, so before we go into that, I could talk about some excitement where I go on social media. When you see this video being circulated, it's on my page, of a woman, she clearly drunk, in a bath suit, staggering with a gun in her hand. That is one piece of excitement going on. It involves an entertainer. It's on my page. You can go and look at it when you're done. But I can't understand what kind of carelessness that. This woman has a gun in her hand and she's drunk. It's about 8 seconds long. But she points it at him. And she's stumbling. And I said to myself, how he put himself in that position, number one. And number two, how is it that he allowed it to be recorded? Like him think say he's above the law or something. I can't understand that once that starts circulate. People love Jamaican, people love excitement. Me love excitement. Typical Jamaican, love excitement. And once you see something like that, it I go share. Me get a video, then me I go post it because it's watchable and it's stupid. You understand? Anyway, I hear on the news this morning say FLA and the police investigating. So me hope for him sake says, my daughter said to me when she hear it that she hope is a play gun. You know what, like what did happen with Kaledo? It was a prop. That's what my daughter said to me. So hopefully it's a prop. We can only cross our fingers and hope, right? Morning DOJ TV. Morning Carol. I see people on Facebook Live. I see people on Instagram Live. So morning everybody. Me just giving you a general good morning. I don't have my other device. I totally forgot to bring it along beside me before I started. So I can't really read the comments as fast because normally I have it's 4 devices it take for me to do this thing properly. I forgot my iPad. All right, so today, it's just so uncanny that we chose this topic today because a young lady contacted me recently. I hope she's watching. She contacted me inbox and she said to me that she felt like killing herself. People take this, you see, Jamaican people have this way of dealing with depression and suicide. It's like we blame the victim, not understanding that they are in fact victims. Suicide for you is not the ideal, and not everybody is going to jump up and kill themselves. First of all, depression is a disease, just like hypertension, just like diabetes. You're sick with your mind, your brain. The brain can get sick too, you know. The brain can get surgical issues on the brain, like when you have an aneurysm or something like that, where you require surgery. And it can have medical issues too, like depression, for instance. You understand? People don't understand that mental illness is an illness. Depression is a type of mental illness. You understand? So when this young lady hung herself at the beginning of the year, and you had some heartless mongrel individual who decided to videotape the woman hanging and share it all over social media, worst of all, cussing her while them videotape it. You know, it just shows you how heartless we are as a people, how heartless we are as a society. You understand? This young lady clearly was going through a lot to decide that she wanted to kill herself. Anyway, the young lady that I spoke to on Saturday, I gave her my number. She contacted me. And when you hear her story, it is hard not to sympathize with her. She gives a history of being molested from she was 8 years old, straight until she was 16 years old, and now she's 20 years old. And she has a child, and she's at her wit's end. Nobody believes her when she says that she was molested. It is clearly affecting her psychologically. And how desperate she is, she reached out to a stranger in me. This woman don't know me, but she just needs somebody to listen to her. You understand what I'm saying? Imagine something like that happening to a relative of yours who does not have anybody to speak to. And when people kill themselves, there's a 16-year-old girl who killed herself in St. Elizabeth last week. A 78-year-old man who killed himself last week as well. You understand? We do not know what people are going through. So I wish we'd just stop judging people. We need to stop judging people. It's depressing. It depresses me that as a people, we don't try to look out for the signs. And I think education has to be key. You understand? I've been seeing on social media also where bullying is leading to an increased number of suicide among children in the States. You understand? So it's not even just a problem here. It's not a local problem. I mean, it's bad enough that we kill ourselves, we kill each other. And I just want to take this moment to extend condolences to my dear friend, Natalie Roach, whose cousin was killed yesterday in Savlamar. So we have an issue with violence. Now we are turning on ourselves, you know. Okay, so Karen is saying sorry too, and in terms of Elephant Man's thing, and she's hoping it's a toy gun. Well, make us see now. FLA will do them investigations, and we will find out if it's a toy gun or whatever. Anyway, so this morning, as I said, we are going to be joined by Professor Hickling at 8:30, and he will give us more information, because the thing is, you know, last week, I don't know how many of you joined the discussion last week when we spoke to some of the people from New York who were, we were talking about why there was a reduction in crime and violence in New York. And, you know, Clive Mortley, who joined us on the line, said that New York has gone out of their way to remove lead from everywhere, from the pipes, from the paint. They're just trying to make their environment lead free. And you know, he said that there are studies that show how lead affects your mental health. You understand? And you know, Jamaica, we have an issue with lead, not only in the paints and in the pipe, but also in the car batteries. Remember, say we used to dispose of these car batteries in a terrible way before. We knew better, you know. And I know, for instance, Mona Common is one such area where they found high levels of lead in the groundwater because of improper disposal of batteries, and that's car batteries. And you know, this is one reason why mental illness is basically Jamaicans are affected by mental illness. But the thing is, our mental illnesses are not only displayed in us wanting to call basically self-harm, also the aggression, the general aggression in the society. And I remember having a discussion with Prof. Hickling about 2 months ago. Remember when the government announced that they would be closing a part of Bellevue Hospital and reintegrating the patients into society. Prof. Hickling and I had a discussion at that time about it. And, you know, we were talking about the fact that a lot of basically how the society is, or our mental illnesses are sometimes displayed in our aggression, and it probably is tied to the high homicide levels, you know. So basically, Prof. Hickling is of the view. Shanafi saying, I'm so pissed I can't watch this as I'm so sorry. Every week me come on you there work. I'm so sorry, my darling. Well, you know, you can watch it afterwards. But Prof. Hickling is of the view, as well as some other psychiatrists in Jamaica, that our mental illness as a society is also manifested in the aggression and in the high rates of violence, not self-inflicted, but inflicted on others, homicide levels. You know, I think Dr. Herbert Gale, who is a social anthropologist, did a study, and he came out a few years ago with some startling statistics that over 50% of Jamaicans have some form of mental illness. And I mean, that's scary. So it's basically saying that the majority are we mad. Hi, Andrea. All right. So basically that is what we that's what we want to focus our discussion on. So if you have any questions for Prof. Hickling when he comes on in 10 minutes, in approximately 10 minutes, let me know. But just share it, type it, whether it's on IG, remember we're joined by the IG people, or whether it's on Facebook Live. Now, what did I go say again? I just lose my train of thought. Just highlighting some of the people who committed suicide. Remember Jason Neal from Mandeville committed suicide last year. So why I highlighted that is to show that this suicide thing in Jamaica, it is not focused on one set of people. You understand? We have people. Jason Neal was 32 years old, in the prime of his life. He was married. His wife was 7 months pregnant at the time. He had a booming business. He was a trucker. He had businesses. His family come from a very influential family. And you just wonder, he had so many things going for him. You'd wonder why he would choose that route. You understand? Then you have this young lady now who killed herself, leaving her 3 beautiful children. She was good looking, young, vibrant. You understand? They showed a picture of her with her baby at the airport. Then you have this elderly man who already lived through the majority of his life. He's 78 years old. And you just don't know. You have this young girl, 16 years old. She should be in the prime of her life. You do not know what people are going through. Everybody have different experiences. But what I do want to say, if you know anybody who is depressed, who appears, them have sudden change in them behavior, sudden change in them appearance, if you know so them did have a zest for life before, reach out. You understand? Because sometimes sometimes these people just want one person to talk to. They just need one person to talk to say, all right, this is what I'm going through. Just to hear it. I remember, for instance, when I went through, because I have been depressed. I went through a horrible marriage. My marriage failed. I've been depressed. I've been there. And sometimes they just want somebody to talk to. On one hand, you know, you're shame. There is shame. But on the other hand, you want somebody to talk to. You just want to be able to hear how you feel. And that's why it took me 5 years. And I'm telling you, I'm glad that I write, and I write well, because I can express myself in the written word. So, but not everybody can do that. Not everybody can put pen to paper and express how them feel. Some people need to say it to somebody just to get it off of them chest. You ever hear how things in your chest? And the thing is, depression also manifests in illness. You ever hear when people say them know somebody was dead from a broken heart? I have a friend who swear that her mother died from a broken heart. And you know, these things are real. These things are real. So sometimes you can reach out. Sometimes, yes, I see Adrian saying through Kamala on IG. Yes. Sometimes you can reach out, you know, when you see people have a sudden change in behavior. Morning, Karen. Morning, Sylvia. Morning, Naomi. When you see, and who is this? Donna, morning. When you see people have this sudden change in behavior, don't think that you're being presumptuous. We're in a society now where we have learned to mind our own business. You know, back in the day when my mother was growing up, people did enough. Sometimes we need that enoughness in society to save each other, to save ourselves. You understand? Nowadays you have situations where people are in them house, rotting for days, and nobody knows that they're dead. I remember the story of this lady in Trelawney who was in her missing, and it took weeks to find her severely decomposed body. And she was in the house, and the house has thinking nobody cares. We don't care for each other anymore. Baby, pass my iPad on the bed for me. Yeah, I do have to move. Pass the iPad for me. All right, sorry about the minor interruption, but I need to be able to read the comments as I go along. Right. So Kimiz is saying, I'm so glad you take the time to talk about mental illness, mental health. Some Jamaican people are so illiterate. I hope they learn something from this topic. All right. So Kern, I don't know how you pronounce your name. It is Kernes or Kerns. But Kernes, I'm going to call it Kernes. Please share it for me, because that is how we educate people. I like to talk about topics that I know will benefit. Education. It's about education. You understand? I tell people all the time that I might have started out being political, but I pivot from politics long time because there are so many more social issues that are more important than politics. And we don't need to politicize everything. So we graduate from that level now. We go on to another level. You understand? All right. So on IG Live, we have Sonnet saying that's why she never turned off her phone. I want to tell you, doing a Sonnet, the other night, I have one joke for you now. The other night, in the 2 o'clock, I sleeping and I draw second gear and I sleep and my phone ring. I see a number, I don't know the number. And so I don't answer the phone because this is 2 o'clock in the morning. I have a family, I have somebody in the bed beside me. Hello. Anyway, six call. 6 call, but I was so tired. I didn't answer the phone. But in the morning, it rests on my chest, you know. And I tried to call back the number and I didn't get back the person. Because it's when I ended up turning off the ringer after the second time. Because, God no, but me never know the number. But in the morning, I said, Lord, it start rest on my conscience. Suppose is somebody who really needed me at the time. Suppose it was an emergency. So I tried to call back the number. I didn't get the number. I called my mother and asked her if everybody's all right, because that's the first thing that go to my head. Call my mother to find out if my brother all right, if my father all right, if the picnic them all right up there, my nephews, if them are, if she said yes, so I know it's not from there. So I tell her, I try find the number. Anyway, little later than that, the number called me back again. Would you believe me say it was a wrong number? I vex. This man in the calling some woman, and you want to hear her when him call me, I'm gonna answer the phone, him come with him sexy voice and a babe. So I was like, which babe is this? Because you are not my babe. And he's like, well, I was calling. I was like, first of all, who you did want it at? So like you hear the long pause. And I Stacy this. I said, no. This is not Stacy. And you called me 6 times last night. Dude, did you not see you were calling a wrong number six times before hello? So he's like, you hear the long pregnant pause. And then him say and him go like, sorry, I hung up the phone. So I'm like, you called me 6 times in the middle of the night and it was a wrong number. Suppose me didn't answer the, you know, say if me didn't really answer the phone and it's a wrong number, me that really, really vex me. But I'm saying the point I'm trying to make is don't do this all the time, because it really could have been an emergency. It could have been somebody who genuinely wanted help. You know, so yeah. So Maureen is saying good morning, dear. And Kai, yes, Kai, it is. We have to sometimes talk about these topics that will help us generally. And I just want to impress again, when you see people who them behavior change, just take a moment and ask them if everything all right. The other day when my pitney them did have dengue, God made it stress out. And I say it, I keep saying it, that, and yes, I was depressed because it's like so many things happen. I'm self-employed. If I don't work, I don't earn. And the bills pile up. It's 3 people that have in the hospital basically one time. And you want to see my hospital bill? Can you imagine my hospital bill? Anyway, you pass it for me. You're not carrying the iPad for me? Wayne? The iPad, I was asking you to carry the iPad for me. It's on the iPad. Pass it for me. Sorry again. Yes, but as I'm saying, imagine 3 pick me in the hospital one time. Things, so sometimes depression isn't even, it's just like an acute illness. It happened one time, like the flu or something. Something happens, like if you have the death of a loved one or something happened that caused, that caused depression. It is real. You understand? And I'm saying that you can get over it at the time, but not everybody. Sometimes it becomes more chronic and it goes. Because now, I think more or less me bounce out of my depression. But if something else going on, I go depressed again. You understand? So it's normal for all of us to go through depression at some point in time. All right. So now me get my iPad. I can check your comments more frequently. Right? All right. So I'm going to try and patch into Prof now. I think it's time. I did tell him 8:30. It's exactly 8:30. So give me a minute. Let me get him on the line. All right. His name is Hickling. Just give me a minute. Let me. Hopefully, I can get him on WhatsApp, on a WhatsApp call. Good morning, Professor Hickling. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, so thanks for joining me. We're live now on my program Monday Morning MEDZ. Welcome. And we have a lot of questions for you this morning. So, what we're talking about this morning is mental health in terms of the levels of depression. We're seeing I don't know if it's an increase in numbers of suicide since late last year going into this year. But I want you to expound on this whole topic because you are the expert and you are quite the expert.
Okay. If you can just give me 15 seconds, I want to put in my AirPods so I can.
Certainly. No problem. All right. Okay, so we're going to give Prof a minute to make himself hands-free.
Okay, hands-free.
All right, excellent.
I'm ready for you now.
Thank you. Okay, so Prof, we've seen a number of cases of suicide happening in the meat. We see basically a woman hung herself, and the images of her hanging, the videos were all over the place. And we realize that there's generally a callousness in dealing with depression and suicide. What are your views on this?
I think we are very callous when we deal with mental illness altogether. In other words, not very sympathetic view for people who have mental illness, you know. So I think the business with suicide is no exception. Let me go back to the first question you asked me about depression and suicide and how common you find it in this country.
Yes.
Suicide is very rare in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica has the third lowest suicide rate in the entire world.
The third lowest?
In other words, the third lowest suicide rate. It's about 3 per 100,000. And let me tell you why I say 3 per 100,000 and why we have to think about it in this way. Because you can't just think about the number of suicides that you have. Because the number of suicides are dependent on the number of the size of your population.
Right.
So you have to calculate the suicide rate, just like the murder rate. You have to calculate the rate based on the size of the population. So the murder rate in Jamaica is maybe about 50 per 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
The suicide rate in Jamaica is about 3 per 100,000.
Okay.
So in other words, the reality of that is that Jamaicans kill each other. They don't kill themselves.
Okay.
In the majority of people who have violence against the person, if you talk about violence against the person, which is murder or suicide, violence against the person isn't about somebody else or about towards oneself.
Okay.
Okay. So if you look at the figures alone, 50 per 100,000, which is murder.
Yes.
And 3 per 100,000, which is suicide. You can see very clearly that suicide is really very uncommon in Jamaica. In fact, it's quite rare.
Okay.
And therefore, whenever it happens, the press make it sensational. It comes front page on the Star, it's front page on the Gleaner. And you have all kinds of photographs. It's a very kind of morbid intensity.
Definitely.
The business of suicide. And so we have to really recognize that part of the problem is that we are trying to, usually, from I've been a young psychiatrist, I mean, that's been nearly 50 years now. Journalists have this morbid desire to equate the suicide rate or the various mental illness rates with the various political issues that are happening in the country.
Okay.
In other words, one side will want to say, oh, it's because we have a lot of poverty and we have a lot of political pressure. The reality is that when you look at figures over a long period of time, they actually almost say the same.
The same.
In suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Not say the same. Not in murder though. Murder has been rising in a up and down way since independence in 1962, because the murder rate in 1962 was maybe about 10 or 15 per 100,000.
Okay.
It was much lower than where it is now, and therefore the murder rate now is 50 per 100 And if you look at it on a graph, you know, when you plot a graph, you will see that the murder rate is related to the political elections that take place in the country. In other words, that every time you have an election,
you get a spike.
There's a spike, and then there's a fall, and then it goes back up again, and there's a spike. And this last time now, the murder rate has been rising from about 40 per 100,000 to about 56 per 100,000 now. So
wow.
in other words, we have to look at violence against the person as a whole issue of mental illness.
Thank you.
Come to the conclusion that Jamaicans kill each other. We rarely kill ourselves. It's like we're afraid to kill ourselves, but we're not afraid to kill other
people. Probably religious views, religious reasons.
I'm sorry?
I was saying perhaps it has to do with religious beliefs, because even though we're such a violent society, we're also a very religious society.
Yes, well, if it just had to do with religion, we wouldn't kill other people, because all the religions tell you that you mustn't kill other people.
True.
So in other words, see, that argument doesn't hold.
Okay.
In other words, it doesn't have to do with religion. It really has to do with a kind of, my experience is that it has to do with rage and anger.
Okay.
Rage. And anger.
Okay.
When people have rage and anger, they get vexed, and the vexation is either turned inward or outward. If it's turned inward, people kill themselves.
Okay.
If it's turned outward, the people kill other people. And most people, when the rage turns inward, they get so frightened and afraid of the mental illness, of the rage, that they usually don't kill themselves.
Okay.
In other words, that's my experience over the last 50 years. So I'm not saying that suicide doesn't exist in Jamaica. Of course it exists. But the rate is very low.
Very low. So most of the time we manifest it.
Most of the time everybody wants to see it and look at it and go look on a hang up on tree and all that kind of things. We are a very sensationalist society, and the journalists are very sensationalist, are part of that sensationalism too. And the journalists have to learn to grow up in this country and not sensationalize those issues, and rather try to look at the root causes of them and find out why things are happening and how we can resolve them. So the reality is, there was a film clip on YouTube some maybe a year ago, about a 13-year-old boy who had committed suicide in Belmont High School in, I think, in St. Elizabeth.
I remember.
If you go back and look at that, that is a fantastic case study, and I hate to use those expressions, but it really is a great expression of what causes people to commit suicide in Jamaica. And he was telling you that, about his anger and his rage, about how he was treated in this society, how his auntie used to just call him you used to just call him a dunce and foolful boy, and you can't learn. And when he went to school now, he was a... Oh, hold on a second. I think I'm getting...
Oh, it was mine. It was mine. It was my own.
Right.
Go ahead.
So, in other words, if you go back and look at that film clip, what he had done is that he had recorded himself. He had made a selfie of himself, and he said in the selfie he had attempted suicide once before, and he found himself in the hospital, but the they kept him alive, but that this time he wasn't going to make them bring him back to life because he was really angry about it. So in other words, it wasn't just sadness alone, no, you know.
Yeah.
About it was the basic underlying emotion was one of rage, and how he used to be bullied at school, and how he was always afraid of the examinations because he wasn't very bright.
Right, I remember that. It was such a depressing story.
Go back and look at that.
Yes, I remember crying for days when I saw that little boy.
Depressing story.
Yeah.
It was a depressing story because the story it indicates that the little boy was so angry because nobody understood the difficulties that he was going through. Yeah, and every day, instead of the people around him helping him, they would cuss him off and call him dumb and stupid,
yeah,
ignorant, and like, you're an idiot, and he expressed it in the video. So we must go back and look at those things and see what the reasons are, and how has affected human beings. So I really believe that the journalists have to become educated about mental illness. And when they talk about mental illness on the radio or on TV, they must talk about it from a position of informed knowledge as to what's happening and what's going on. So the other one that's very common or relatively common at this time is the business of murder-suicide.
Yes.
Where you find that somebody kills one person and then kills themselves. Well, there is a lot of study being done about this condition.
Okay.
And the reality, there are many issues that we have to face and think about. Usually, the people who commit the murder are men.
Yes.
And they usually commit the murder to a spouse, a girlfriend, or a girlfriend and a boyfriend, a girlfriend with her other boyfriend,
yes,
or a girlfriend with her children. So, and once he has killed the girlfriend and the children, he then kills himself. It's usually a man. Oftentimes he's a man who drinks a lot of alcohol.
Okay.
In other words, alcohol is almost always implicated
in
this kind of condition. And you will find that the people who do this are often involved in the police or the defense force, or in other words, they are people who are used to weapons and fighting and war. Okay, so there's a sense of callousness overall because of... Well, I'm not saying callousness. You are saying callousness.
Okay.
I'm not saying callousness. It might not be callousness at all. It might just be availability. They have been trained to use weapons.
Yes.
And they have been trained to use and to understand murder and killing and all of those things. And so it is easy for them to take somebody's life, much easier than the regular person. I remember one of my students did a piece of research. Every year, our psychiatric students have to do research about something or the other.
Okay.
And one of my students, Dr. Who is now the senior medical officer of Bellevue.
Okay.
He did and you must go and talk to him about the piece of research.
I should.
He did a piece of research about mental illness in the police force. And it was a very important piece of research.
Mental illness in the police force.
In the police force of policemen.
Interesting.
And it was a very important piece of research.
This is very interesting.
And it was related to the fact that these policemen who became mentally ill, including high rates of alcoholism, they were the people who were in the highest war zones in the country, the criminal zones. You know, they had to go out there and face the war. They had to go out there and face the political tribalism. So we have to really recognize that there are certain professions in the world that predispose you to mental illness. Being in the police force in Jamaica is one of them. I'm telling you. Go and talk to Dr. Who about his
Dr. Who?
findings.
Okay.
Dr. Who is a Birmingham psychiatrist. His last name is O, capital O. And
Okay, yes. Dr. O, yes. Okay.
Dr. O, and he did this very important piece of work. And I think you need to go and talk to him about it.
I most definitely will.
Because those are the people who murder other people too and commit suicide.
Interesting. You know, okay. You know, last week we had a discussion about crime. We compared New York to Jamaica in terms of the reduction, the massive reduction in crime in New York. And one of our guests mentioned lead poisoning, the removal of lead from basically the pipes, the groundwater, the basic, right. I know Jamaica, go ahead.
We're not taking into account these kinds of research issues that are going all over the world. In other words, people believe that they know everything about psychology and psychiatry. All Jamaicans believe that they are natural psychiatrists and psychologists.
And lawyers and doctors.
And lawyers and doctors.
Exactly.
You know? But we really don't know very much about the issues. You know, so I think especially journalists have to go and educate themselves about these issues.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because all the time everybody who follows my page know that I always have a lot to say about journalists. There isn't even, really any journalism in Jamaica, you know. Nobody wants to do the research. They're just reporting.
They're just reporters.
Exactly.
You know, and I have to tell you something. When I was a young man just leaving school,
yes,
my first job was as a reporter with the Gleaner.
Wow. Interesting.
And I spent, one of my mentors as a young man was Mr. Theodore Steele, who was the editor of the Gleaner at the time. And it was he who gave me this job. It was a summer job when I was at the university. And that's when I really began to understand about investigative journalism. And I met some very interesting young journalists at the time, people like Stuart Walters,
okay,
who now works out of Canada, and people like Bert Swire and Barbara Gludon.
Okay.
All of I was working with these people. I was a medical student at the time.
Okay.
But and so it was very intriguing to me to see the link up between reporting and journalism. And I agree with you. I don't believe that the journalists of today have the kind of in-depth investigative styles that were there at that time. I mean, go and talk to Barbara Gluten about that. I'm sure she has an opinion.
I need to. We need to definitely look at this as a topic.
I'm sure she has an opinion about it. And there are all kinds of other people, including people like, let's talk to you at Walters.
You at Walters.
You can get hold of him. He works in Canada now, you know. And he was a young reporter at the time, and he became a journalist. I was just there because I was doing a
summer placement.
Summer job.
Yes.
Not a placement, a job.
Okay.
I was working every morning. I had to go to the court.
Okay.
I was a court reporter.
Interesting.
So I would go to the RF court in downtown on Sutton Street and the one in Harper Street every day.
Okay.
And I would have to go through all the cases that happened that day. And then I would then go back to the cleanup at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when the work started.
Okay.
You have to
write the story.
You have to write the story. And that's when I learned about, well, investigative journalism. And of course, that's when I saw a lot of the psychological and psychiatric things. I saw them.
You saw it. One of our listeners is making a comment about the young men in the inner city having serious mental problems, and they basically have nowhere to go for help. They probably don't know of anywhere to go.
Well, you know, the first part is right, but the second part I don't think is right.
Okay.
The first part is yes. A lot of these young people in the inner city, both men and women,
yes,
are having quite serious mental illness, severe mental illness.
Severe.
We haven't studied it enough. But it's not that they don't have anywhere to go. Because we have a wonderful mental health service, especially in the inner cities, because we have mental health officers and psychiatrists who work in the community. They all are employed by the regional health authority all over the country. So every community has its own mental health team, has its own mental health officers. And that the mental health services are used quite extensively by people all over the country. I don't think the journalists realize how extensive the mental health treatment system in this country is. If you ask any journalist in this country, where do people who have mental illness, where they get treated, they will tell you at Bellevue Hospital.
Yes, quite right. Every health center.
Every health center has a psychiatric team. Everyone. And there are nearly 300 health centers in the country. So most people who have mental illnesses, they either go to the health center, they go to the general practitioner, the local doctor, the private doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And only a very small percentage go to Bellevue Hospital. But the journalists don't know this. The journalists don't know this. And the journalists don't go and explore the reality. If you go, for example, to the Jamaica.
I've been there. I bet you
didn't notice that there was a mental health clinic.
I did.
The pediatric clinic.
Right beside the pediatric, right between the pediatric and the dental clinic, there is the psychiatric.
Exactly.
right? And it's there 3 times, and the next 2 days it serves as a dermatology clinic.
Well, I'm telling you, you go and spend that time there in one of those clinics.
I have.
Hundreds of people.
Yes, as I was a drug rep for years, so I'm very familiar with the system.
So I'm saying to you, there is a very extensive mental health treatment system in this country. I think one of the best in the world.
Okay.
Where people can, for little or nothing, they can go and get top quality psychiatric care from nurses and psychiatrists and doctors all across the country. All across the country.
What about the stigma though? You think that has more, the stigma associated with mental illness serves as a deterrent for people who need the help but are afraid to get it?
My research tells me otherwise. My research tells me the stigma that people have about mental illness are those people who have been admitted to Bellevue Hospital. And that if somebody has the same illness and they go to St. Anne's Bay Hospital and they get treated there for 5 days and go back home, there is no stigma. All them people say, oh, them have a little nerve trouble.
Oh, them nerves, them bother, yes.
Trouble.
Okay.
Bother with the nerves. If they go to Bellevue, that's when the stigma rail up itself.
Oh, I understand. I understand. I want to touch on the correlation between the use of cannabis and mental illness. I know it's a very topical issue now with what is happening in the world where cannabis use is being accepted and legalized. What have your research found though? Because I know you've done extensive work on the correlation.
I'll be very, very clear and very explicit. I think the use of any kind of psychoactive substance is any kind of psychoactive substance, alcohol, cannabis, cocaine, anything is can be a problem.
Okay.
But it's on a spectrum. If you use a little bit of it, it's not a problem.
Okay.
It's just a recreational use. So in other words, look at alcohol all over the society. If you have 1 drink a week or 1 drink every other week, you go to your party or a friend's house, you have a drink, that's normal and quite acceptable.
Okay.
And doesn't create any problem. The recreational use of marijuana, most people don't have a problem. However, the research indicates very clearly that the people who are affected most by marijuana are young people.
Yes.
Adolescents, children and adolescents. And like all drugs, should be not, children and adolescents should not be allowed to use them. So I think we are all very agreed on this.
Okay.
That the use of any kind of psychoactive drug, alcohol, cocaine, cannabis, cigarettes, will affect all kinds of youth up to age 18 or 20.
Right.
And therefore, cannabis use should be avoided in young people.
Okay.
Because it can create certain kinds of illness in some people, but not all. Because you and I know many young people who smoke herb.
Yeah.
And it don't affect them. So it's not everybody that the herb affects.
Okay.
It's just like it's not everybody who drinks alcohol that the alcohol affects.
Exactly.
But in my view, we should be trying to develop a world which is drug-free.
Yeah.
Where we don't have to use don't have to be dependent on any drug to make us feel good or entertain us or what have you. I don't know whether I've answered your question.
Definitely you have. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. We had a very live and active audience, and they are very, very grateful for this information. A lot of them think that not enough focus is being given to mental illness in Jamaica. And so I was asked to just look at it today. So I'm so grateful to you. Before you go, one thing. I met you last year through your daughter, Deborah, after we were talking about the closing of Bellevue Hospital.
Yes.
I don't know how is it going. Can you just give us an update on that before you go in terms of reintegrating the patients into society?
That's been going on for 50 years.
Oh, okay. Okay,
in other words, that's nothing new. Any patient who has been to Bellevue has to be reintegrated into the society. Bellevue is not a dead-end place. In other words, you go in, you get treatment, and you come out. And therefore, when you come out, you have to be reintegrated in your community. So that's nothing new.
Okay.
What the problem is that you're talking about is that there are maybe 500 people in Bellevue who have been in Bellevue for 30 or 40 years, and who are now 60 or 70. In other words, that's the problem. They are not mentally ill now, or rather they are mentally well now, but they have nowhere to go, and there's no reintegration for them. But everybody else in Bellevue Hospital, once you go in there to be admitted, you may spend 2 or 3 weeks there, you get your medication, you get your other treatments, then you go back home. And then there are clinical teams out in the community to help to reintegrate you into the society.
Okay.
So when people talk about reintegration from Bellevue, it's been going on for 50 years.
I understand.
It's been going on for 50 years. The problem at Bellevue are the 500 or 600 people who have no homes and no families. That's
abandoned
right
people.
now.
Okay.
Abandoned.
And what of the people in terms of getting more awareness to mental health issues, especially where authorities concerned, like the police force, for instance? Every now and then you hear of police or other people in authority killing mentally ill people because they simply don't understand. What suggestions you have in terms of dealing with this issue?
Well, I know that there are psychiatrists within the police force, and they are very much involved in training programs for policemen. But it has to be increased, but it's going on as we speak.
Okay, excellent.
I believe if we didn't have those training programs, the problems would be much greater.
Okay. All right.
In other words, it's just like if we didn't have all these mental health clinics all around the country, the problems with mental illness would be enormous.
I can imagine.
I would strongly advise for the journalists to go and spend a day in a mental health clinic with the mental health officer.
I definitely will be suggesting it on my page. See if any of them will take it up. All right. All right. Prof. Hickling, thank you so much for your time. Greatly appreciate it.
All right.
Take care. All right. All right. Well, you heard for yourself from Professor Hickling. Some startling revelations. You know what shocked me the most? Let me tell you what shocked me the most. The part that him say, there is a study showing that a significant number of policemen have mental illness. That is shocking. That is like ridiculously shocking. Instagram live in a minute. Your feed will cut out because, as you know, Instagram only gives us exactly 1 hour for an IG live. So thank you for joining me Instagram live. It will be up for a while for you to continue to watch it. And of course, on Facebook, we're going to continue for another 5 minutes or so. Just to recap what Prof. Hickling said. All of the things that stand out. Let me go through some of these comments. All right, so Dan, you're most welcome, Diane. It's my duty to keep you informed because I realize, as Prof. Hickling says, journalism nowadays is only about sensationalism. Journalism back in the day was so much more. Right now, I say it all the time. Anybody who has been following me for a while would hear me hit out against these journalists because I do it on a consistent basis. We have a problem now where we don't have any investigative journalists anymore. We only have reporters. And who is this saying go? Arkstar. Thank you so much for joining me, Arkstar. But the issue is laziness, and it's also political, as Prof said. You know, it's also political. So Instagram is gone. I just want to thank them for joining me. Thanks for watching, and everybody who enjoyed the topic. You know, I just wanted to share it. Take a moment to share it to your page. You don't know who it's gonna help. You don't know who this information is going to help. And just to recap, as I said, what Professor Hickling said, there are mental health clinics at basically every single health clinic in Jamaica has a mental health department. And guess what? People don't have to know what you're going to the clinic for. As Professor said, there is no stigma attached to going to the clinic to look after mental illness. Them just say something wrong with your nerves. So if you or anybody you know has a problem and you know say you have a problem, just go on a doctor. Don't make it reach the point where you get suicidal. He touched on a very important case that, if you remember last year, with the 13-year-old boy who did his video. I'm going to see if I can find it and post it in the comments when I'm done, or probably post the link on edit it and put in the post that you can, just to refresh your mind of this little boy who at 13 committed suicide. I think it was in 2017 because he was so depressed. And I know that family has to be utterly devastated. I don't know if that auntie ever going to get over it, because in the video he did finger point the auntie as being one of his primary reasons for taking his life, you know. But Shanafi said maybe there's a department, but is it staffed? Well, the one example that Professor Hickling gave is a clinic at the mental health clinic at De La Vega in Spanish Town. That's the St. Jago Health Park in Spanish Town, and I know that one is very it is staffed, and they operate there at least 3 times a week, because I think on the other days they alternate it between mental health clinic and dermatology clinic. So I know that it is well staffed. I've seen it in action. And of course, basically you have mental health, you have a clinic at all of the free clinics. So it's just about getting the information and about caring for each other, actually caring for each other. If you say you have relatives or neighbors that going through this, do something about it. And one of the last thing I'm going to remind you of that Prof. Hickling made, the point is that there is a correlation between our high homicide rate and mental illness. He says that Jamaicans' mental illness is manifested in rage. Basically, mental illness is often manifested as rage. And sometimes the rage is turned internal and sometimes it's turned external. We tend to do ours externally. Whereas if it manifests internally, there will be a higher suicide rate. He said that we have a very low suicide rate. We have the 3rd lowest suicide rate in the world, and the suicide rate is basically just a 1/3. So the thing is, depression can also manifest in people killing each other. You understand? So don't think that just because only 3 in every 100,000 people killing themselves, it means that people are not depressed. When a man drink himself to death and then go kill him girlfriend or him baby mother and then kill himself, that is also depression. You understand? And we didn't even, when we thought of suicide, we didn't even think of those people who basically kill their spouse and kill themselves. We don't even think about that as being suicide, but it is still suicide because a person is still killing themselves. ADHD, yes, and there's so many diseases on the mental health spectrum that we have not stopped to think about, right? So this is an extensive topic. I know that we can go on and on about it, but we're not going to do that today, right? So I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for joining me. We've gone a little bit over time. We started late, so I gave you your full hour plus tax. You get 1 hour 5 minutes, right? So as usual, I want you to enjoy your day. I want you to enjoy your week. Blessings upon blessings upon blessings upon blessings. I'm going to give you some of the Chronics to end. I love this song. I'm a fan of Chronics. I love this song, so I'm just going to end with it. So take care, everybody. Until next week, we're signing out. Have a blessed, productive week. Bye.